Struddy, do you think Draisaitl looks at his contract, although it's incredibly a lot of money, and looking at Kaprizov saying, man, maybe I should have just kind of went about this a different way and I could have cashed in even more than I already did?
I know I would be. It's like what is that? It's not that long ago that he signed that contract, and now I believe Leon's better than he is, than Kirill is, although they're close. So it wasn't like that contract's 5 years old. But what about Mikko Rantanen? What did Mikko sign for? Is it $12 million?
12,
something in there. So he's $5 million shy times 8. That's $40 million. That's quite a bit. That's not your bar tab at Earl's on a Friday night. Like, that's a lot of cash that is sitting there, and that contract is barely old. So I wonder how that changes how these superstar guys, when they sign, and how they choose to do it. Do you wait and be like, if Mikko had been more selective, would he have got more than 12? I'm not sure, but after this deal, I think he probably could have.
Well, even Kaprizov might think that way a year from now. Like, he's signed a year out. He may get to next July 1st and think he could have gotten 18 or 19 million. And what's amazing about the Kaprizov stuff is, like, it's such a crazy number, yet I don't sense anyone expects Minnesota to win. They're like, no one thinks they're going to win a cup now because they got him done. He doesn't. He's an immense talent, really good player. Is he a winner? I don't know. Like, they haven't won anything with him. He's a scoring winger.
He's already had people showing clips of him last night, like, floating around.
Yeah.
And they're like, look at this guy, just signed that contract, and he's weaseling around out there doing nothing, like floater shifts. And somebody caught it on tape.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. Like, they're the fourth best team in their division with him. With him on the team. I think there's there's 4 teams or 3 teams that are better than him. So, Bill Guerin, I think this is a big part of what they're trying to do is get him locked in. Now they got Boldy. So now they have to add. And I know the salary cap's going up, and they have that salary cap penalty they had with Parise and Suter. That's passed them. but 8 of that went to dollar bill Kirill. So they now have to add because that team isn't good enough. It's good, but it's not good enough. I don't think, like I said, right now I have them at the 4th best team in their division.
So, guys, I wanted everybody to weigh in on this. I was thinking about it, and I was asked this question specifically today when you're like, okay, 17, that's an outrageous number, for Kirill. Is he a top 10 player, all of that type of stuff. Do we, in the media, as fans, have to readjust how we look at contracts? And I'll give you an example. In the year 2000, Chris Pronger made $10 million a year. And I look at the NBA players like, I think it was Stoudemire made $10 million. Allen Iverson was making $10 million. Nowadays, 25 years later, Kawhi and these guys are making $50 million a year. Yeah. Top paid player in the NHL is 14.5. And I know different sports, different TV contracts, all of that type of stuff. But is this hockey's time to grow? So 3 years from now, are we going to be looking at this and going, geez, William Nylander at 11.5 or whatever, unbelievable deal. But are we going to see the step ladder, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now where guys are making 20 and you're going, that seems about market value right now?
Jamie, I think it's great for the players. Like, how many times have you looked at other sports and said the hockey players aren't even close? And now the guys are coming up and starting to make massive cash.
Well,
it's appropriate for these guys, finally. But the thing is, some guys locked in that have to wait around, like a William Nylander. For years, he's going to be saying, man, like, look at that guy. We talked about him in the Kaprizov comparison yesterday. He's going to be like, that guy making that much more than me? But that's just the way it happens, man. And it happens fast. Like, as soon as Kaprizov signed, all of a sudden people are going to be like, I got to give my player the cash because he got it.
It adjusts everything. And I guess Sportico, they're a website that delves into money and evaluation of different franchises and leagues. And they posted something today. I saw Kevin Weeks tweet this out. 3-year change per league in terms of value. I believe, like, franchise values and overall revenue generated by the league. The NHL over the last 3 years is up 108%. The NBA 78%. The NFL 72%. The MLB 22%. So in other words, the NHL is, like, to your point, thriving. And, the Leafs, today it was announced, this is according to Sportico, but they're the most valued franchise in the league, and it's like $4.6 billion.
Yeah. Remember when it was crazy that they were worth $1 billion?
Yeah.
The Habs were worth $1 billion?
Exactly. And again, to finish this point, then, Struddy, you can jump in. Luke Hughes just signed an extension down in New Jersey. He's the youngest of the Hughes brothers. He's making the most money. He's the youngest, and to be fair to him, he's the third best player of the three. He's making 9, Jack's making 8, Quinn's making 7.85. And he was an RFA, and they just gave him $9 million a year over 7 years. So that's your answer. Yes, Struddy, everything has to adjust.
I wish someone would have said that about me and my cousins, that I would have been higher paid than those two guys. I would have been. I worked harder than both of them. Well, for sure, Rob, maybe not Scott.
You got to say who your cousins are, Struts.
Yeah. Scott and Rob Niedermeyer. Okay, for average players, but I was definitely underpaid compared to them.
Yes, you were.
You know what I think? I think what'll really hit fans, I don't know if it's the top market guys. I think it's when you have a second or third line center that might make $10 million. Or a third line center that's making 6 or 7, because the cap's going to keep going up and everyone's going to float up a bit. I think that's when fans are going to be like, no way, that guy should be making whatever. But we have to reevaluate what cap numbers are, because it's just a percentage. We have to remember it's a percentage of the cap, and then whatever that cap number is, that's the number to get on the other end of it.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think the Luke Hughes one's interesting because 7 years, I was kind of waiting for a short-term deal, and then maybe he lines up with Quinn Hughes, and maybe they go somewhere else. But now, if he's going to be in Jersey for 7 years, and Jack Hughes has got a lot of term left on his deal.
It only looks like it can go one way.
Yeah, it looks like Quinn Hughes is, if he's going to play with them, he's going to Jersey.
You know what? I want to throw in here, too. Doesn't it make you, if you're a top-end player, why would you sign for 8 years?
100%.
Why don't you sign for 2? And as the cap continues to escalate, that way you're not going to have a problem where year 5 you're grossly underpaid. I think the agents will be leaning on these guys to go sign 2-year deals. And yes, it'll create anxiety within fan bases, as we see.
What about
in
injuries, though, Jamie? Are you telling me if somebody
right.
puts 136 on a table or something like that, and you're going to say, well, I might just sniff around and do a short-term deal to see if I can cash in a different way.
Yeah,
you get hurt. You talk about anxiety.
That's a great point.
But how often does that happen, though? Really, how often do you see an elite player quit not being able to play hockey again, right? Because it doesn't happen very often.
No. But it just, I think the only thing I would say to guard against that is you probably take out some wild insurance policy that if there is a career-ending injury, you're paying a huge premium on it, but it's $100 million cash, tax-free type of thing in your pocket, because that's after taxes what you would have made, that type of stuff. But I just look at it as if you feel like a lot of these contracts that have just been signed are going to be undervalued by that player 2 or 3 years in. I would be shocked to see the next wave of players to sign for 7 or 8 years, or even 5 or 6. It might be 4 or less, just based on how the escalating cap is going up.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and that brings you back to where we started with Connor McDavid. Maybe that's a situation where he's seen all this, and he can get whatever he gets now, but in a couple of years that might be 20 for 2 or 3 years, right? So. Yeah, I think there's a lot of moving parts on all these guys, but Kirill definitely set the table for them.